반den도지 정화 리근자도 라마 갈만바 겐그로 군진존에 시시에 발교 예담난저마 전에 군제제보 원주로 조정배전 점달라 지지그벤데 라메 도지 정화란데 다다 심전 탐제제 최선로와 진제라도서 최남던로와 진제로 남주바세와 진제라도 솔로 주바 이시소 자와 진제라도 tenezo ta kasa lamji chakje chenpo tela tenezo tene lam gomba tela tene lam namba tenezo namba ni sheba re tene lam namba ni di nabo tene shine latte shine tang tene te gende bo sakthong sene tene shine da hando namba ni sumbe re te yendu tene shine se ya de chedang ke 안나가라도 저기 준비하고 시내세야지. 근데 내 마음 다도 기 내배 내바당 마음바당 다다왜 뒤숨기 근데 저바 탐제당 자와 근데 너나 근데 근데 셈세야지 믹세게 내라 곰슨데라 믹바 가야메바 믹바다 자와 텔라 근데 자외 고네 되는 냠버 샤바텔라 라슴 코랑게 마주바 랑바 그때 샤바텔라 되네 다 자기 준비 신에서야 된다 됐어요. 그래서
Yesterday we talked on the subject of the path Mahamudra. In the path Mahamudra, we talked about the two classification or rather two aspects of the path, based upon the shamatha meditation and that of the vipassana. So based upon those two paths, that the Mahamudra, shamatha, we talked about for example, that without relying or depending upon the shamatha, one cannot take birth to the vipassana experience.
pena chukhorangi chukhoran la da rangshin de pena nyongma ji mares pena chunangi tene chunala da tuk tuk ta yombe kapsula tene dakpa sa chima de tuk khoriondu tene chud nyongma chagi yor ma du chukhorangi rangshin de da pena tangwa da sharwa ji tene khora rangshin re yores de indu de da tuk tuk ta de be kapsula chud nyongma na shin tene chud tang yong yo mares pe de shindola pena 당가란소 샘게 내로암 샘 코랑게 고 테네 사동 샘 코랑게 내로디 테네 가란소 두다 넘버 콘돌라 테네 용거 여러데 예나양 테네 남도 게 테네 제단게 테네 남도게 독스테네 초대베가 값솔라 테네 샘 코랑게 내로감 샘 코랑게 고라 테네 냠버 샤고세나야 페네 샤토고야 말 페네 춘용만 하신게 샤마토바지 용거 여래 대손자 인도 tene thangbo tene sem bana nardo nem shiwarji nardo nem ma to namdo tenso jedang ge thara ge tene chi ge namdo tenso shima to bala tene sem khorang ge ma jebe ding do nyambar jago isne shaya khaya yo mares
that if you keep on stirring the water with stick or anything, that because of being stirring it constantly, all the very nature of the water, it has the clarity, but because of your effort stirring it over and over constantly, that very clarity of the water is being mixed with the clay, mud or sand. Even the clarity is very there, it exists within that, but due to stirring with all those mud, clay, sand and so forth, that you are unable to see the clarity of water. Similarly, that
Pena ota pechik teres. Pechik te pena ta marmen rabu chashaba ina. Tati pena kasura ta ngana comment ki peti peti shira comment le peju tang yo res. Pena marmen rabu chashaba ina lo se yo mar chidang ge men rabu chashaba ina. Tene meti korang ki rangshin ti salwa tang tene salwe ki rangshin res. Ta marme se ya. Tamje salwa. Te indu tene marme tela lunge tukse tudu namba kondu kyo deba ina mame de tuksun gujo jab deba kapsula tene korang la mame korang la sarwe ke rangdang ji ye sal nuba ji ye ba ina ya te lung tuks kyo deba teke tene mame teke tene sarwe ke tuyonde che nugu yo ma te sonzang indu ta lung meba che ne tene bena chomen rabu ji ina ra yanglam ta kora yabu ji mar deba ina tene rang shu ke The
second example of such is again the lamp, or rather the flame of a lamp, of a candle, or not specifically any, but flame. The flame itself again has the natural potential of clarity. And therefore it has the potential to clear. However, it has the potential to light up. But if it is moved, the flame, very flame, is being again constantly moved by wind. Then although that has the potential to light up around, it may not able to light or radiate that strongly. But if there was no wind to interfere with that its light, then its natural light can light around very clearly, which is a natural clarity or light. Similarly, that our mind, having that essential nature, but although the essential nature being existing in ourselves, but it is being churned, disturbed at present by conceptions and that of the many distractions. And as a result to tremendous destruction of the conception, even if we try to maintain and experience the essential nature of our mind, due to our conflicting emotion of the thought, that we are unable to experience the essential nature of our mind. And therefore, in order to experience that, first, that we have to pacify the outer object that causes this mind to, that prevents, this mind to experience its essential nature.
Tendes yindu des sonza tela tene ta khazan shebe na shinge zo tene luji ne lune la tene tang tene te tengdo la tene samji ne ta zo shin la tene sam namdo tenzo tene ta shiwar che gogyo res na go songa tene te shiwar che thoba yina tene tela tene ane tene tela tene tene rang shu ke tene samji ge ne lo ge te tengdo la nyamran jo thoba ji yung yo res.
So therefore, just as we have spoken yesterday, we depend upon the 2 points, the physical point, which is the posture of the body. Having obtained the correct, accurate, and the physical posture, then also depending on the mind point, essential point that one try to liberate, free oneself from the very thoughts, conceptions. In this manner, with understanding those 2 points, the physical and the mental point, then the natural peacefulness or calm abiding experiences.
Tere tene te yindu te sonza ta lune de kazan shebe na shire ta semne de zo de ta kazan anzu she stres te kanso go yarsena zo ta kandres chene go yarsena tene bana tenda number sung go nege je go yores te kanso go yarsena maing ba 당보 셈 마인 발라 때네 때네 셰바 소마 송아레스 하고 송아 마인 미곰 소멘데 소마 소바 란다니 송동아 란다 낭송야 티송고요레스 티송데 칸송고요레스나 때네 셈바티 베나 마인 바데 하장의 개참부레스 마인 발라 때네 때네 셰바데 소메긴가라 때네 소마스드 다 가서 오래 코란 다 가서 오래 디코란 디스는 쇠바세기요레스 다들 코란 깨지긴데 코란 게 소메긴가라 당 때네 메곰발라 때네 수바르샤토가 송아요 데송데 칸송고요레스나 때네 다 ngöso dene ndere nde mare sambe laso bege dene ngöso dene gomba meba nde gomba yis mebege me gomba la dene subar shagwa hago songa dene so meba la dene tisungo yore ta nyumar shagwa sundu dene samge ke dene gomba zamje mayimba daga nanshin ke samge pa so shagwa laso ba tende mayimba di indu sam korang ki rangi ngo 띵도 뉴말 샤바 어디 숨기 토네 다 가서 오래 쌤네데 중국어요레스.
So that physical posture we talked quite detailed last night, and we simply touch upon the state of the mind, how we have to deal with during the meditation, particularly speaking that in the question of the mind, that we have to always maintain the 3 points, that non-destruction, in the translation here as written as non-wandering, but it's which here in explains is a non-wandering, non-meditation, non-fabrication are the point. So that non-wandering is more so, according to Tibetan, non-destruction. So through the non-destruction, one gains or give birth to the freshness of the awareness. And then there is the non-meditation, gives the birth to looseness. Now, non-meditation explaining when you meditate.
아니 this pena some the ying sona then rikpa soma reyo mares akoso ying charba this son za maying bati soma yin so then megom bati super sas gom sarwa yina te super rangba reyo mare sam gi gom ni sam de ge yore jada megom bada super la sha so then jikti so meba de rangdang ngang so de sam ge sam so chawa yina Sorry,
that not giving birth, it's a rather that non-destruction, without destruction, rest in the freshness of the awareness. Then without the meditation, rest in the looseness. His Eminence explains here that looseness means that non-meditation referring to here, that without the object or subject feeling this is or this is not while you're meditating, without any judgments, without any discrimination of yes or no, and this or that, you simply meditate in the non-meditation that leads you to natural experience or natural state of looseness without an effort. Then the non-fabrication, again, that without such that you are able to rest in very newness, and that of the newness simply that non-fabrication is here without again projecting, with such a projecting in anything that everything is new, so you rest in that very newness. So in short, what this 3 point explains here is that you do not follow to the past thoughts and do not again project, create future, and that of the also not clinging to the very present. So without conditioned by the past, present, and future thought, you rest in the natural state. You rest your mind in natural state.
다ték 텔라 어티숭이요레스 대인도 대송자다 텔라드니 남다르 고숨기 남칼라 전시신기 자랄 레교네 샘듬르 레버탄 딱경웨 타라 봄숨지 딱 도소시에 송아레 대송도 데네 베나다 남다르 고숨기 남칼라 송야데 된다데 가능성이요레스나 베나다 최 탐제게 랑신티 때네 남들 고숨지 콘수 만들바지 매송하래 아 고송아 남들 고숨지 콘수 만들바 매송야데 남들 고숨지 가능성 거 요랬으나 때네 당보디 때네 시동반이 송거 요랬어 시동반이 송야데 가능성 거 요랬으나 안에 최 탐제 베나다 샘 코랑게 고 랑신 마주바티 난신게 최 탐제 때네 고 때네 랑신 주바매바 동반이 임바티 동바티 쓰게요래 데네 대답하게 ngoran시 주바매바 동반이 임바라 때네 데네 jut세마 매바스 제바래 jut세마 매바스도 데네 빼나 가서 오래 단 제보다 주다마소나 즉 ngo보란센도 주바매바 델라 때네 제보 멤바 매바스도 데네 마음발라 데네 주텔라 때네 제보 텐데 톱나 삼베키 데네 가세고레 라와다 덕바다 흠바메바 어테기 남들 고숨 세야데 된다 티송고요레스 데네 고숨제 남칼라스 데네 빼데 남과다블 샤바레 남칼라 데네 타다 무 메바 카야 남과생에텔라 코라 타카소레 타다 무다 텐데스 카야요 말에 빼테는 신기 데네 데네 최 탐제고 코라 남들 고숨세도 최 탄단 돈을 ngoran시 동바임바 인도 데네 텔라 데네 세메그 쯧바 탐제다 차와 세메 쯧바 탐제다 차와 임바 데네 데네 멤버 타 데네 제부 멤버 다 차와 임바 쓰게요레스
In the space of the three gates of liberation, one is mindful, establishing proper watchfulness, always keeping the mind balanced between tight and relaxed. Now, that it explains here that the three gates of the liberation, explaining that the essential nature, which is very much the ground or foundation, is being emptiness. So therefore, that essential nature of the mind being emptiness. The second gate is that the cause has no substance reality, because if the essential nature is being emptiness, then there is no cause that can lead you to find a substance reality or concreteness. And since that there is no cause that leads to the substance reality, the third gate is the result. There is no fruition.
멤버 멤버 쓰요레
멤버
멤버
노소.
몰람 제보데 톱나 삼베게 멤버 멤버 제보 멤버 쓰요 말은 제보 멤버
The result. Therefore, that result, there is no aspiration. It is very similar, according to the three gates.
다가스 뺀 남가다 버스리
Similar, for example, to the space, because the space has no specific proportion and a size that you can really measure it up or out. Similarly, that in this nature of mind, which speaks of the three gates of the liberation, that they are beyond really those our measurement and substance, and so it is the very much what is the gate of the liberation, which has no specific pinpoint to measure.
테네 고 동반이 제보 jut세마 메바 테네 제보 멤버 메바 고 동반이 숨데나 남들 고숨 쓰기요레스 단도나.
So in short, essential nature being emptiness, cause no substance reality, result no aspiration, that is known as the three gates of liberation.
Hindu, this one's Tene Pena, Hindu, Tene to Ta Tanda Semti, Tene Ta Pena Yinayang, Pena Peteta with Namdal Gosum Penata, Yinaya Tenda Shesh Yangba Meba, Temba the Sheshin Ti, Yanta was Tengu Yores. Timado, Temba the Sheshin Yanta was Ten Matuba Yina. Tene temba de shishi meba la tene ani tel tene tene sem de ying dona yang tene ying ba de ha ko yo maris te tanda par dola naran so tanda ben ying ba de ha ma go la tene ten tanda ba dola ta tru go ya gyum se zawan da bu tanda tere te indu tene te da bu ma yin ba chene ta zo de chen shi de yang ta ba ji ta go go yo so le te go ne tene te yang tene sem dim le ren bo ta kyang we se tu tene ha jang ke tene sosoke junchane tene kase ore samdi busu tobo chene tene namgo bandabu tende mayimba daga nanshinki tene su sidu tene tenyang bet koran kante cheten ge nganul tangsha tende yang mayimba tene jumdo rimbo che ge ngane tene sosoke samdi ne toba yina tene ranshu ke tene charak toba tene shige yosong.
So when we speak about that essential nature being the emptiness that cause no solid or concrete substance or reality, and the result being that there's no expression, so then we come to the point of saying that in that case, do we simply have to leave, abandon or give up? In the sense of here that it is not a question of simply letting go or giving up. It does not mean you have to sort of engage into whatever you desire or aspire. Here, what is important, again, according to the Doha, is that one is mindful, establishing proper watchfulness. So in this case, that one is stressed that non-destruction, mindfulness, is again a key to the very meditation. Because without that non-destruction and mindfulness, we have been wandering in samsara until now because due to not having built or developed any mindfulness, not being aware of our distractions, so that we have been wandering in the samsara. So we have to develop that mindfulness that leads us to be aware of every distraction and which brings back the distraction to the non-distraction, and thereafter that becomes a tremendous benefit to the enrichment of our mind. And in doing so, again, one has to do it very properly, or rather skillfully. It explains that you must not force your mind too much.
Tene tisendu tene tande ki thangbu ki kapsula tene pena tenshe sendu hanse ki yoresena ta pena thangbu shine gombe ki kapsula tenshe sendu chik lamsan chik ta khase ora soda masuna zugne chik hakhoya chik dang tene namto sharsuna sharwa chik ta tende chik chendu tene tende chik kogu yores yinaya tarduge rimbege tene sosoge gombege nyamnyon chene tene gomde tempura yondu tene tenshe ti tene kasore tene tenshe tsam chik koran kasore mayimba chik ti koran ti chayong yores tene ta 당가난 세야 샘 코란 데네 랑리 랑사 어다 디 돈다 디 레기요레스 하고송아 데네 당다 당부 데네 샘 코란게 네로게 땡도 냠버샤 마톱게 파르돌라 남도 나바나 소바 초기 예드 데 손자 데 하코어 제발라 당부 텐시데 땡고요레 다 디인도 데네 소수게 다 샘 코란게 네로게 땡도 냠버샤 톱사드 tene nyambar sha tobe ga kapsula tene mixe ge teshes ne mixe kanten gu yo mar de yina ya nyambar sha ba ti koran la tene kase ore tene sha shindula tene nesu kan yina ya ta kase ore ta awareness ore ba ta o ti ye ba tela tene ti sungu yo res
So that the mindfulness, so maintaining the mindfulness, that we try not to force our mind extremely or over force. The mindfulness referring to, again, that at a beginning level, mindfulness referring to simply the awareness, in a sense that any distraction that happens to your mind, being aware of that, your mind is being distracted. That clarity or awareness is a mindfulness referring to as a beginner practice. Then as you advance to the meditation, mindfulness becomes much deeper. That very term becomes deeper, which here the mindfulness is self-seeing, self-illuminating. That whole development in oneself, the self-seeing, self-illuminating is the mindfulness when one is advanced in meditation. So as one develops or advances in this manner, when one gains the really ability to rest your mind in the natural state, then there is no specific emphasis on the mindfulness, but rather that once you have actually learned to rest your mind in the natural state, the very awareness that is there, by the virtue of resting the mind in the natural state, is the mindfulness. That becomes mindfulness. So according to the again Doha, that explains that you must not force your mind too much. At the same time, you must not let your mind relax overly. You must learn to balance the force and that of relaxation of mind equal. That balancing is very important.
Tela tene chara bomsum ji tokso shisidu tene bena ta namdo chawa da ragwa namdo zo chawa da ragwa sidu namdo la bena tene chara shenda chara chigi yo mare ta zo tene nyomomba la sobeke tene tokbe duma de chara tene tokso zo rimji ga ma shine tene ta bena shine tene 시와텔 때네 쌤 코랑게 때네 마주바 때네 단다 가서 그래 릭바 소만데가라 때네 냠버샤 토바지 랑복 땡도 네바 용 토고레 스타토 시네스 전다테 송고요레스.
So this is what the actual explanation of the shamatha, that resting and having balanced in that state of the relaxation and the force. Then one is able to pacify the all sort of thought, that is subtle, tangible, and gross thought or conceptions.
Penetrara bomsumji tokso shisunyade tawada ragba bomboseyade zode ta nyomomba shukchejunge tene number tobatel sunguyores.
The whole idea of the subtle, tangible, and the gross thought, referring to the individual's strength of the klesha or conflicting emotion, based upon the very power, energy of the conflicting emotion, that depending upon such technique of the meditation, then all sort of the power of the conflicting emotion, whether it's subtle, gross, or tangible, can be pacified.
Bena namdo khashe tan bena shedang ki kunilani namdo shuk chembo tinde yore tenzo yina bena nyomomba bena namdo rakba sege yores hareresena bena shedang da bendo chanda bute han nyomomba ki shuk lensha ba tene khash roji gomege tene nyamramba shimbo tenzo rimjige tene kege yores ba besongales ta tene chene tene ma tene chedangda nge mixege shegoyamendo kodebshirares teyin re tene yena yang tene 대답이 tene bana 신해당 tene bana 다독스네 땡 신해 독스네 bana 샘 코랑게 tene 마주베 땡도 냠버샤고 텔 때네 도스 곰발라 때네 tene 랑슈케 tene 대용고요레스 tene 상통기 시디 tene 깨고요레스 상통기 시디 간데스 tene 깨고요레스나 tene tene sem khorang ma jobe ge ting do nyambar shak batel tene sem singe thi tene pena ngo rang shi ma chu ba tong ba yin ba thang sem singe thi tene ma che be ge pena chi lu ge ting do chu me ba ta lu ge china khang do ya ma chu ba sem singe thi tene khorang rang shi tong ba yin ba che ge tene ne lu de thong yu go yo re tene thong la tene rem ji ge tene nyam da ga so rem ba shi ba ge yo re sung de da te sung yo re.
So as you rest in that state with complete or with balance and pacifying such those various type of the thoughts, then successively that you develop different stages of the realization of the four stages or four yogas that we have explained. And actually that after this stage, the four stages or the four successive stages of the four yogas are very simple to understand. However, that
this thing nge tene ma tsik tenzu shiraga khole ta tene ma tsik tenzu khole labres ti sonda ta nge tanda ma shode tene shorsa shida korsa shi seya jiba ti shege yins de tene ma tsik tenzu ta sa dini ma koyu cha gom chagje simbe zawa chuk seya de ta hama go khan do.
So after this, the terms, the little terms that is in the Doha are quite simple to understand. And so that main thing here is that one...
tene shira khole labure tene ta zo ti sunya de danda de khang gu yo resena tene theda buge tene shine da sangthong gomba la tene pena khorsa da norsa yo so re tene pena sangthong gomba la tene sangthong la tene lam khorsa shi sunya chi dang tene shine la tene lam khorsa sum tene shorsa shi da khorsa sum sunya de tene su yung yo sting e kol ti kol chi shi ge.
So based on that, when you rest your mind in the natural state, free from any fabrication, then the experience of the shamatha develops in you. Now, as the literal terms or explanation are quite easy to understand, that it explains that there are the different problems that arises, such as there are four in the shamatha that one could make a mistake or fall into. Sorry, there are in the shamatha that one has the possibility into falling into three errors, and in the vipassana there is possibility falling into four. So I'll explain those what they are, and once you have understand that, the rest seem to be quite simple.
Tatanda tina sung address, Juti Nies, Shorsa Shiru, Ma Shorshi, Kosa Sumdo, Malon was yet. This sung yours, that's 16 sung.
Now, according to the Doha, if you have the textbook, it's starting not straying into the four strains, not falling into three misunderstandings. That's what His Eminence will explain too.
This and do, then Bena. 다 사통 변하다 쇼르사시로 마쇼르와 송야티 간송고 열었으나 근데 상통기 돼 상통 검백의 값을라 근데 변하다 상통 검세도 또 간송고 열었으나 근데 동번이기 된 검bat 송고 열이 동번이기 된 검bat 해라 근데 쇼르사시를 쇼려야 예송하래 쇼르사시를 쇼려야 예송도 간송고 열었으나 동번이기 시를 쇼르와 송고 열 당부 동번이기 시를 쇼르와 송도 간송고 열었으나 Tena Tongbani Seati, Tene Kanya Meba, Tene Chuba, Benata Casore, Da Pumba, Kayun Jabajina, Kayunana, Tene 춥디 마 뼈샤바나 신지 뼈뼈는 동바지 여러 대답이 동바니 런지네 진바 초 동바니 세야데 텐데 진바 이나 근데 동바니 시를 쇼와 송아래 시를 쇼스 된다 가능성 거여서는 배나 동바니 세야데 동바니 진당의 노르네 근데 딱 한지 다 메가 제버다 와든 진바들라티 근데 동니 시를 쇼와 송거여레스.
So the first strain, which is again that of the Vipassana, based upon the Vipassana, as we know, it is conveys the actual meaning of the emptiness. So first of all, His Eminence want me to give you the 4 errors or 4 faults. First is the straying into the conceptual shunyata, and the second is straying in regards to the path, and the third is straying in regards to the antidote, and then the fourth is straying in what is called is labeling. So the first, the explanation, the definition is that again, not understanding the actual meaning of emptiness, that one takes the emptiness as the actual absence of everything. For example, like if a cup is filled with water or tea, when you empty the tea or water, then this empty of tea and water, similar emptiness, one takes the meaning of the emptiness of the Vipassana, that is the wrong. That clinging, absence of everything, that is the very much the straying into the conceptual shunyata, because that you have very much attached to or grasping to the nihilism, non-existence.
Tene nibade tongni lamla shirwasaya de kansiga yoresana tene tongba ni gi tunda sosuge jungseji ko tene matsebege tene te gomba la tene tongba ni gi ta kasore tongnyam tende te zindamenda sharya yore tende sharwa yindu te sonza tene ta tongni lamla shorsedu tene tela tene tene mixege sosuge toksa jebajang tene lunga yisumji gi gone tene pena ta tende kanya gogo mindu 탐체 똥바레 탐체 바 유튜브근도 삼베게 다 던데게 토네 오네게 똥바니게 되양 타고데 마도 발라 예나야 때네 배나 똥바니라 고와 중세 다 냠던데 중세 토발 때네 때네 똥니 람도 쇼르세드 ten tongba ni tigita pa jurtu gundo tene gewada digbala so ba khanya gogo mindu samba chege pa tongni gi lamdo shor so wa se yo lamdo shor wa se de ta tongba ni de lamla chene ngone lamdo yang ta ba je pa dum ma to ba chene tongni lamdo shor wa tanda tis ge yes.
The second is that the straying in the regards to the
tongba ni de lamdo shor wa
here again it very much deals with the shunyata or emptiness in all such error. In the past, again, having had some intellectual understanding of the shunyata, emptiness, but still this individual making the error of thinking that one could transfer
zemba shuba hakosonga zemba shune tene tongba ni la tene tardo njebo topju yebe ge rewa chene tene kase gore ta bangja da tene nyembo de tene yewa meba hamagowa tene hamagowa chene tongba ni gomba la tene tardo njebo chi topju yore sambe ke tongni nyembo shorwas tonda tisig yores.
The third is the straying regards to the antidote is again that understanding about the path and the emptiness. One develop a tremendous attachment to the expectation of the ultimate result based upon the emptiness, and therefore that very attachment to the creation or result that one fails to recognize or understand in applying the antidote or remedy, what needs to be abandoned and what antidote need to be applied. Simply, one is very much concerned with the clinging or attachment to the result, the fruition of the emptiness. That is the strain in regards to the antidote.
Tene shibati tene toni gendeb shorwasidu ki khansig yore sena tene ta shibat toni gendeb shorwasiyati tene tamche ta pena khasegore pena sikzamji ki tone tene tamche dongbare sine pa sosuge loi get dabshaba tene nguso toni ki thön 마인바 르파 샘기 수베가 동반이 있어요.그래서 다 돈이 겐데 봤어야 돼. 하고서와 근데 탐제 동바레 삼네 파 르기 겐데 봐야 돼. 들라 돈이 겐데 쓰네. 단 반나 군족 나와 그다음에 시작이 여러 군족 나와는데 그다음에 시작와티 근데 코라 반나 무서 군족 나와는데 동바이 바 하마고 얘네 샘기가 파 동바레 삼네 파 다파 성 수샤바텔라 돈이 겐뎁스 전스게 요레스 대답에게 되는 동반이게 거사 시티 되네 디시들다 동반이게 쇼트 시스게 요레스.
This is referring to the simply with the literal understanding that one has fabricated the very emptiness, or emptiness is mind-made, not one is really has experienced the natural emptiness, but one has created an emptiness. Therefore, it is fabricated, mind-made, and it is not a genuine emptiness that one experiences. So, in that manner, as because of the dwelling upon the very much the terms, literal understanding, one falls into labeling the emptiness, therefore it is not the genuine or the true emptiness. So these are the four errors, mistakes that one may fall into in the reference to the vipassana practice.
나라도 시바텔라 잔뎁스기요레스 동반이 잔뎁스도 그나 담주 잡았나 신지게 So
the labeling again, that is like when you put a seal on paper. When you put a seal, then it is simply that you have filled the empty or white paper with your own seal. Similarly, that you simply think this is emptiness and this is emptiness. So you're simply creating, fabricating this emptiness, but not having actually experienced the natural emptiness.
Then 동반이 코랑 동반이 레스첸 동반이 파 되는 짐바슈밤 겐데바 다 같이 된다 디스기요레 디스원장 인도티 되네 쇼서시스도 된다 디스기요레스 되네 고사숨티 되네 다 시넬 되네 용구요레 시넬 되네 간데스 용구요레스나 되네 시네기 베나 양타바지 곰바이나 시네텔라 조 되네 냠다 마소나 넘바 숨 용구요레스 되네 대외냠 설외냠 메도베냠스 데서 메도그냠 숨 용구요레 되네 데서 메도그냠 숨 텔라 되네 소소게 베나다 베나 오늘 제나 데서 메도베냠데 간데스 용구요레스나 잉바 메발 때네 대외냠 Samarn Zimba Mebala Tene, Sarayam. Yangba meditation to cinema. Lowland Deva Yimbala Tene, Metopeniams, and Desert Metopeniam Sum the Yunguyore, then it Yam Ti Sum Tela, then a Yam Yong Atela Sosu Shamba Shuba Yina, then a Dewala Tene Dunkam, then a Sawala Tene Sunkam, then a Metobala Tene Sumeji Kam Sumla, then a Koa that Triaki during Ruguyores, this Sumsunguyores.
So those are being the four errors that one can fall into the vipassana practice. And now that the three errors that one can make, one can fall into in the shamatha meditation are the bliss, luminosity, non-thought. Now, those are that in the shamatha meditation, that such experience is possible. Bliss, luminosity, and non-thought. But again, that if you cling to them, attach to any of such, the blissfulness, the luminosity, to the experience or non-thought, then you are making error or falling into the mistakes. Now, what leads us to experience these three experiences is that with the mindfulness, free from distraction, leads you to experience the blissfulness. Then understanding that things has no substance, reality, or concrete reality, that one experiences the luminosity of such. And understanding that everything is beyond conception or thought, then one experiences or realizes the non-thought.
This one's in do, then it tests some Lanzabashuna, then it does a Dogam some teacher.
So if one
Bena Tamsam, that in this Yam to Sharing yours, even that Bena Ranshingi Koran, Bena that Bena Devik Yam to Yunguyore, then it's some Sarweg in Yam Yungur, some Medobe Yams, that in this Yunguyore, Tin Yombig Capsula, then it's also a Yam tea, then Yami Bahama Govachene, then it tea, Jebu Shuji Yungudun, Zeba Yungudu, some Telan Zeba Shukshana, then it's Rebecca, then it comes from the Gigayores.
So these different experiences is possible. Sometimes you experience bliss, sometimes luminosity, sometimes non-thought. And if one cling to any of such, if you cling to the blissfulness, you experience or fall into realm of desire. If you cling to the luminosity, you fall into the realm of fall. And if you cling to the non-thought, you fall into the formless realm. If you cling into them.
This one's in do, then that Tendela Tene, then a Tangana to charge Simbuki Shineda, Handong Gombek capsula, Teta Buki Shorsa Sheda, then causes some the Towers Kuyores, Mashurach.
So based on those, Mahamudra practice, or that of the shamatha, is that one must really be aware and free from those 4 strayings and 3 falls or mistakes.
Oh, yeah, that's why you
Now, is there any questions?